Boom! We're back, and we are looking at the ankle guillotine today, so you can submit just as many opponents as I do. There's no way that we can finish any of these attacks if we don't have a good entry to the leg. Let's dive right into some of my most common setups. My first favorite entry to use is the reverse de la Hiva. Reverse de la Hiva is great for creating distance, but it also allows me to turn on my back. When I'm in a mobile position, I can insert my de la Hiva hook and push against their waist to bring them to the mat. The deeper I can have my reverse de la Hiva hook, the more I can extend my partner. Then it's very easy to switch between the two guards, hook around their ankle, and I can push them over. I'll make sure to address why we use the de la Hiva hook, but for right now, just include it in your entries. Starting from single leg X is entry number 2, and it's probably the easiest one to learn. Single leg X is an extremely common position and can be used when people are standing above you or even when they're low to the ground. We start by bringing our inside leg up to the hip so we can extend them for distance. This allows us to bring the de la Hiva hook in, and we can push them over using the same technique from before. Just like with entry number 1, the more that we can extend them, the easier it will be to transition towards the ankle lock in the next step. Entry number 3 may not be the easiest depending on your wrestling capabilities, but it fits right in with the current meta of jiu-jitsu and all of the wrestling up. We start working up towards our feet, but on the way, we grab an ankle pick. We want to make sure we hook low on the leg, but we push his head away at the same time. This will make it so his leg is extremely light, so when we fall backwards, we can already push him into the sweep. You can either land with his ankle across your belly, or on the outside. Either one will lead to a tap. But what good is entering on the leg if we can't actually bring them down to the mat to finish the ankle lock? I basically only use one sweep and with 2 variations. I recommend you do the same until you're much better, and then you can branch out. No matter which entry you picked, they all have one thing in common: the finish. Once I have my legs set up properly, I'm always going for the same goal. I want to use my opposite hand to push the knee in the direction I want him to fall, and then I'm pushing and extending him with my leg that's high on the hip. This already puts me in a dominant position once I fall to actually finish the submission. Since we aren't reaping with our outside leg, most people defend by turning their knee in because they don't have to worry about the heel hook. So I use my opposite hand to redirect his knee so it can be pushed in the correct direction, then I can shove my hips forward until he hits the mat. If the ankle is across our stomach because we wrestled up, now we pull the knee instead of pushing it, but we end up in a similar position. Finishing the ankle lock isn't that difficult, but a lot of people teach it the wrong way. We're going to go over a lot of the finer details, so it isn't the worst of the footlocks. When you're looking to actually grab the ankle, you'd be surprised how many people put their hand in the wrong spot. If you're hooking over the calf, you're doing it in the wrong spot. You don't have any leverage here. The more you can put your lat over their toes, the better the grip. By using the de la Hiva hook, we eliminate the most common defense to all of these leg attacks. His number one goal is to get his hip over my leg, but the de la Hiva hook is great at extending him, and by cupping with my left hand as well, he's not able to turn his knee to give him a better escape. If you're built like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it's certainly possible to finish this lock by keeping your hips pointing up. But if you have a frail body like mine, we have to make compromises. Step 1 is we need to close the distance between our hips and his by sucking ourselves in. Step 2 is that we need to rotate and turn our chest down. This will create a nice torque on his leg so it's not just a straight lock. Step 3 is that we need to turn our shoulders so that his ligaments are tight, then we can compress everything together to get the tap. And the secret is, you really don't even need to go that far to get the tap if you've done all the other steps correctly. A lot of people teach that you can finish the ankle lock with just the regular single X grip. This is when you're reaping over the leg and it's a great way to expose their heel. But our goal is to prevent them from rolling. By switching the legs around, even if he rolls into the direction that he can, it's going right into the foot lock. So what do you do when your opponent is able to clear your foot and they start bringing their hip over your leg? The main defense your opponent has is to first strip your leg off so they can move their hips. If he can bring his butt over my knee, he can start to break my grip. But he's created a large space for my knee to rotate. So I'm going to bring my left leg over his leg, keep his ankle sucked in as I go belly down, and I use my butt and legs to push against him so he's not able to defend. Knowing how to exit the lock is just as important as finishing it, because you can't do it to everyone. When we're sitting here with the de la Hiva hook, this allows us to invert. And while you could hit a berimbolo from here, my main goal is that I want to keep this ankle and try and attack it again. If we set up the ankle lock correctly, the berimbolo might be hard, but inverting is not. I won't be able to bring my head to his hip, but I can still roll around his knee, and after the roll, I can use this to wrestle up. As long as we can keep pushing him away after the inversion, then we can use entry number 3 from earlier to pull the leg in and hit another ankle lock. If we loosen the grip but we still maintain enough control, we can invert and instead just come up towards their open guard. And this allows us to fall into another ankle guillotine. The third option you can take is that after the inversion, you can just try and stay on their backside. We can let go of the ankle and then come up to fight their turtle. With all this knowledge on the ankle guillotine, you should be able to pull off these same techniques in your next roll. This move is applicable for any size, and if you're a competitor or a lower belt, this move is completely legal in all rule sets. I made this instructional so anyone can get better at this attack, but if you want to see future instructionals like this, go over to my Patreon page and you can put in your own suggestions so you get to see what moves will be on Patreon that you can learn. Thanks to all my current members in the Guillotine gang, I really appreciate your support and it helps me make better videos.